Hey guys, so I'm going to say right at the outset, I just recorded this video and decided to re-record it because I really feel like I can do it in 5 minutes instead of 11. So, holding myself to that. So, first, an update. This is day 11 with my braces, and I can talk a lot better now, thankfully. Was really worried about that last week, as you guys could tell from my last video. It's still not great. I still do not love the lingual wire, but for any of you who are getting the controlled arch braces or any similar thing where you have that lingual wire behind your upper front teeth, there is hope. Your tongue will adapt some magical way so that you can not sound completely incapable of speaking for an entire year. So that's that update. Also, the pain is gone now. It lasted like a week. Wasn't a big deal. I was just a wimp about it and ate soft things and a lot of ice cream. But what I wanted to come on here and talk about is somebody left a couple of comments and they were asking if I had any teeth tipping and flaring or instability or gum recession. And I feel like I might have talked about at least the tooth tipping on a previous video. I can't really remember. I feel like most of those are just me rambling. So this one's going to try to be a little bit more topical and focused. How am I doing so far? But this really is like the biggest concern that I had with AGGA was the fear of gum recession and or instability in these front 6 teeth that you're pushing so far forward. So I want to talk about that. So to answer the first question, have basically gotten no tooth flaring. You'll see in the pictures that I promise I will eventually post. Very, very little to no flaring, and what little flaring I got was a good thing because my teeth were like very straight up and down, and they're supposed to be like flared out a teeny bit, I believe. So that was all good. Gum recession, I've gotten a little bit on my canines, which my dentist, Dr. Suh, says happens to everybody. It's obviously not ideal, but that's just kind of how it seems to go, and he's not concerned about it. It sounds like it's something that will probably resolve over time after the treatment is done. So he's not worried about it, so I'm not worried about it. I'm really trying to just trust him through this process because I made the decision to do it. So until and unless it gets to a point where I'm worried enough that I'm going to abort treatment altogether, what's the point of worrying, right? As far as tooth instability and concerns about losing bone in front of these front 6 teeth, that was the whole reason that I stopped the Meridian appliance that I was using 2 years ago, maybe. I'll link the post where I talk about that in my blog. But yeah, basically I had a CBCT scan. It showed that I had lost quite a bit of bone. It was very thin in front of those upper teeth. And the main concern was that the dentist who was overseeing that process did not get back to me with any kind of reassurance about that. So I felt like I was embarking on this potentially dangerous quest alone without guidance, and I was not comfortable with that. Then eventually I learned about AGGA through a commenter on my blog who told me about Ronny Ead, who is this guy who a lot of you probably know about, who was going through the AGGA process. And at the time, he was all in for AGGA. He spoke very highly of it. He was happy with his experience, said it was the holy grail of adult orthodontics. So that was how I discovered this. I did more research on it. of course, all of the AGGA practitioners are saying, well, AGGA is different from all of these other dangerous palate expanders because it pushes on this nasopalatine nerve, which promotes bone deposition throughout the entire midface. It's not just pushing on your teeth. Like I talk about much more eloquently in my post, I am skeptical of that. When they tighten the AGGA, these front 6 teeth are really sore. If it wasn't pushing on the teeth, would that happen? No, it wouldn't. So I feel like there's some level of BS happening in that whole realm. That doesn't mean I don't believe in the treatment, because there's not an ideal solution, at least not one that we've discovered. So it's all a cost-benefit analysis. And when I was making the decision, I went through all of that, decided that AGGA was the way to go, and decided to just trust my dentist through this process. He does not regularly do scans throughout the process to check bone. I haven't pushed him on that because, like I said, I'm just trying to trust the process. And realistically, what I would expect to see in a scan is I would expect to see bone loss there, because if you're removing teeth, the bone has to disappear in the direction that the teeth are moving in order for the teeth to move in that direction, and then bone gets kind of deposited back behind it, and we hope also in front of it as the body stabilizes. So that's kind of the situation. But so if any of you follow Ronny Ead, you'll know that he has completely changed his tune on AGGA. He aborted the process halfway through. He is now saying that it's made his upper 6 teeth loose, which totally sucks. And it sounds like, he's basically saying it's dangerous. I haven't watched all of those videos because, to be perfectly honest, it's not something that I want to spend a lot of energy worrying about when I'm already in the middle of this process. It hasn't got to the point where I feel like it would be warranted for me to just be like, nope, I'm gonna stop right here with these giant gaps in my teeth and figure out something else, undo the expansion, whatever. None of that is anything I want to do. And the thing is, most of these AGGA practitioners have either used it themselves, used it on their family. The dentist that I go to, he's wearing it. A lot of his hygienists are wearing it. I believe his family is wearing it. So if a bunch of people were having really terrible outcomes, I don't see that practitioners would continue using it widely on people that they're close to and that they care about. So I find that reassuring. Also, I will say that although my top 6 front teeth do not feel remotely strong enough to where I would feel comfortable like biting into an apple or something like that, they also aren't loose. They have not fallen out. And until such a time as they do, I am just going to hope that they don't. So I know that's not a super, dang, we're already at 10 minutes again. Gosh, you guys, I'm not a very concise writer, but I'm especially not a concise talker. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. I'm not recording this again. But what was my point? My point was just to answer the questions about tooth instability. No, I do not have tooth instability in the sense that they are loose. However, they are not stable in the way that all of my other teeth are stable, in the sense that I feel like I could bite on something hard and not be worried about it. But also, we've been moving them for the past almost year. So the roots are not going to, like, they're not, if you move teeth, the bone around the root of the tooth isn't going to be as solid as it would be if you weren't moving teeth. And that's true with any type of orthodontics. Like, there's concern over tooth death and tooth loss with normal braces, even with Invisalign. Like, this is not an AGGA only concern. It doesn't make it less of a concern with AGGA, but it's not unique. So yeah, that's the state of things. So to summarize, I would say that I haven't had any experiences that are concerning to my dentist, and therefore I am trying to trust the process and not be concerned myself. Worst case scenario, I lose one of these upper front 6 teeth, and if that happens, I will be very transparent about that whole process, and I will be very transparent about what we do to solve it. But until such a time as that happens, we'll just hope that it doesn't. So yeah, that's that. Again, if you have any other questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments. But also, before doing so, it might be a good idea to check out the blog posts that I've linked below, because, like I said, I'm a much better writer than I am a talker. So I've explained things far better in those than I have in these videos. But yeah, hope you guys are doing good, and I will talk to you later.